very difficult business to make a living in,
Yeah.
And I think you're doing a good job of marketing yourself, but we got to see one of these step-up fights. So, like, is there a plan for a Christopher Lovejoy step-up fight? Because your record is like, what is it now? It's like
19-0, but in 8 more days, I'll be 20-0 with 20 knockouts.
There you go, 100%.
100% knockout rate, man. I ain't doing nothing less. I'm not doing no plan.
Okay.
The untouchable True School Sports Empire proudly presents something the boxing game's been missing. Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Now, this is the official post-fight review for Manuel Charr versus Christopher Lovejoy, and oh my days, what a shambolic fight! What a shambolic fight! Oh, where do we even start? Where do we even start with Christopher Lovejoy and Manuel Charr? So, we'll start Manuel Charr. For Manuel Charr, this is the first time he's boxed ever in 4 years. He hasn't boxed since his November 2017 fight with Alexander Ustinov. And for Christopher Lovejoy, oh my God. This as far as I'm concerned, look, I love Christopher Lovejoy, great person, but we call a spade a spade. This was Christopher Lovejoy's first real fight. And as far as I'm concerned, I damn near consider it his pro debut, because you look at this guy, Christopher Lovejoy, look at what he's done to get to this point in boxing. You know, he's fought and padded the hell out of his record. He's fought 19 times in Mexico against guys with lopsided records, 6-50, 0-3, 2-14, 4-27. And the list goes on and on. 3-13, 4-23, pro debut, padding the hell out of his record. And somehow Christopher Lovejoy finessed his way into the WBA rankings. You know, he really got a lot of people interested in who he was. He was very mysterious with not putting out a lot of clips about himself. And now we see why. Christopher Lovejoy went into this fight with Manuel Charr, and he looked like he didn't know how to throw a punch. He looked like he didn't know how to take body shots. He didn't have any sort of idea of his punching range. He was lacking in a lot of areas. And mind you, I was someone that was going for Christopher Lovejoy. I wanted him to win this fight because he was someone that I met a couple of months ago in January. You know, a very likable guy. It's hard to not like him, but you know, it looks like he took a lot of shortcuts in that boxing gym. And you know, I've heard things about Christopher Lovejoy through the grapevine, but you never really know what's true. A lot of times in boxing, people just hate on the next man for any other reason when it comes to just their careers. So I don't listen to things when people tell me these things. I always give a chance for people to prove themselves to me before I listen to what anybody has to say. But Christopher Lovejoy looked horrible in there. I mean, absolutely horrible. You know, he looked like he was crying in there at one point. I mean, it was really, really bad. And it just goes to show you, like, you can't play this game. You can't play this game. You might come into the game and you might try to finesse it for all it's worth, but ultimately you will be found out. And I mean, this is a guy, Manuel Charr, who had been inactive for 4 years. You know, he has been active for 4 years. Lovejoy is supposed to fight Dave Allen, who I would say, just because of that activity, might have been more dangerous than Charr. He can punch harder than Charr. So could you imagine what Dave Allen would have done to Christopher Lovejoy? You know, Christopher Lovejoy did look a bit scary, fearful when the fight didn't happen. And now we see why. Because had he done his preparation, had he really been putting those rounds in the gym, he wouldn't have tried to have to finesse the boxing game. But that's what he's been doing. And just, I don't know what's going to be next of his career. I don't know if he's going to continue, but like, if that's the last we see of Christopher Lovejoy in the boxing ring, then happy trails, man. You know, I hope he wasn't hurt too badly and he can go back home safely to his family. But there's a lot we can learn from Christopher Lovejoy, good and bad. The bad things we can learn from Christopher Lovejoy is that you cannot play boxing, you cannot finesse the game, you cannot do those things and think you're gonna finesse your way to becoming a top level heavyweight. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you. Had he won this fight today, he would have been at a pretty good level from where he started for his lack of experience. I got to give him that much. But we also should learn from Christopher Lovejoy the positives from him, because a lot of fighters don't promote themselves. A lot of fighters don't put that legwork and that groundwork into letting the world know who it is they are. And the fact that we're even here caring about Christopher Lovejoy, for good, bad, or indifferent, it goes to show you the work he's done in promoting himself. And he promotes himself very, very hard. There's no promoter behind him. There's no major backing behind him. Everything that we know about him is through him doing interviews with all these boxing channels like myself, Mr. Boxing Today, and everybody else in the YouTube boxing community. And also just being very interactive on social media. So I think Christopher Lovejoy has showed a lot of fighters the blueprint and how to gain a fan base, a following, and to command some attention. And he had half of what it took to be, something in boxing. He was just missing the part that was most important, the ability to fight at the highest levels. And I wish him the best. I wish that he does well for himself. But man, this fight was absolutely one of the worst fights of all time. And not even just from Lovejoy's side, but from the Manuel Charr side, because he's over there doing cartwheels, stumbling over. I mean, it was just a shambolic promotion, shambolic fight. And, now that Lovejoy has been knocked out by Charr in 2 rounds, what's next for Charr? Listen, Manuel Charr got to come see my boy Trevor Bryan, because Trevor Bryan has been wanting to fight Manuel Charr for a long time and get this out the way so he can progress with his career. But he's over here fighting the Christopher Lovejoys of the world. So, we'll see what happens in the next stage of the Manuel Charr, Trevor Bryan saga. But just one of the worst heavyweight title fights you're ever going to see. And I'm going to leave it at that. Take care.